Welcome to the On the Edge podcast with your host, Scott Groves.
Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Scott Groves here in my garage in Las Vegas with two of my favorite realtors, Eric and Michael Gorton. They're a father-son team. We're actually working with Michael to find a house and check out some investment properties up here in Vegas. And then I had met his dad at another property, ironically, and he texted me. He was like, well, I guess we're not going to be working together since you're working with my son, asshole. No, I'm just kidding. He didn't actually say that, but he is from New York, so I'm guessing that's what he wanted to say. And for a while, I've wanted to interview some family members that work together because my wife would be an amazing project manager and basically a loan officer assistant, but I cannot imagine the dynamics working with my wife or my son. I have a 21-year-old who lives in New York, or my mom or my dad or whatnot. So I want to dive into that. We're recording this in January of 2023, so a lot has changed in the real estate market in the last 12 months. I will say, for context, our mortgage team, we funded $16.7 million in loans January of 2022. It was our best month ever. And a lot of refinances, obviously. And then December of 2023, we were second and third in our company with like 3.7 million of funded loans. Wow. So a year ago, we were middle of the pack, just crushing it with, double-digit fundings. And this year, we're like, all right, still making a great living with $4 million-ish in loans. And that's number 2 in the company. So want to dig into that, see if you guys have any projections. I know you guys have been through, in your career, a couple cycles of real estate here in Vegas. So I'd love to hear about that because Vegas seems to be very similar to some big cities that have some boom and bust times. So first of all, I'll probably just start with you. Like, how do you get into real estate in Las Vegas? Because when I met you in the fountains, it was clear that you were like the mayor of Las Vegas and knew everybody and sold every house in that project. So where are you from and how'd you get into real estate in Vegas?
Well, first of all, thanks for having us. To answer your question, first of all, I got into real estate about 21 years ago. I was originally in the casino business, if you can believe that.
Shocking.
Yeah. So moving out to Las Vegas, just got married, went on my honeymoon. The day we got home from our honeymoon, we basically packed up the car and moved out.
From where?
From Long Island, New York.
Okay.
Yeah. So originally grew up in New York, was there for 25 years. I was a fireman in New York for 4 years prior to getting out here. And wanted to continue that journey. But when I asked my wife to marry me, she said, I really want to get married, but I don't want to marry a fireman. Right. And so that kind of put my projection of how my life was going to go into a complete left turn. And I decided she was way more important than just following a silly childhood dream that I had for myself.
That's kind of funny because I know a lot of firemen in LA who have left their wives because they're firemen, not left firefighting. Very
common.
Yeah.
Very common, right?
So kudos to you, man. Yeah. Family man from the beginning. Yeah. I like that.
Oh, for sure. Well, when you have a wife like mine, she stuck through me through a lot of tough times through this crazy life. So, I knew what I had from the very beginning. So
that's awesome, man.
She's a great girl. We've been together just about 30 years.
Holy cow. All right. I'm going to dig back into that to make sure that I get some tips there on how to stay together over 30 years. We're at 8 years and strong, but I do have one divorce under my belt. Never want to go back there again.
Right.
So we're going to circle back to that. But all right. So fireman, you quit that. You move out. Why fireman to casino business in Vegas?
I tried to be a fireman here. I took the test immediately as soon as I got out here. And their projection was, I was going to be on the list maybe a year and a half, 2 years. Well, at that point, about a month later, we found out we were having this guy.
Right.
And so I couldn't sit around and just work odd jobs until I figured out,
right.
How
Kids
I was
fuck everything up, man.
So he fucked everything up. And the quickest way to get working on a consistent basis was to go out and learn how to deal a table game. So I opted to go into the casino business dealing dice. And that was it was awesome, right? At the very beginning, 26 years old, working in Las Vegas, right?
What casino were you at?
So I started at the Plaza downtown, which was a lot of fun, right?
Yeah,
it wasn't any money, but I learned the game, and it was a lot of fun working.
Right.
But then I opened up the Monte Carlo.
Okay.
And I worked at the Paris was my last job.
Wow,
yeah.
Man.
Pretty cool.
When I think of the stereotypical New York accent, boxman rolling dice, you just fit the bill, right? Yeah. So do you think it's the accent that sealed the deal and got you the jobs?
Possibly. I don't know. I was really good at dealing dice too. I fit the mold exactly, right?
Yeah.
If you came to a dice table, I was the guy you wanted on your side.
Right. And what is because I can't put my finger on it, but there's gambling experiences, win or lose, where it's that was enjoyable, that was fun, there was energy. And then there's gambling experiences, win or lose, where you're just I hated that. Like, I hate that casino. I hate that dealer.
Yep.
Like, what is the right amount of like personality before you're like pissing off the client versus like keeping them engaged and energized about the game?
Well, my personality to begin with is a little sarcasm, right? And people appreciate that because they don't get it from everybody. So I'm a very straight, honest guy, right? If you're acting like a dick, I'm going to tell you, right? But I'm going to keep you engaged. I'm going to keep you having fun. I'm going to keep you spending money. So it was more like, you get on there and you put your sales game on, right? Before I knew I had a sales game, I was dealing dice and I was putting sales to work every day.
Yeah.
Right?
Plus, craps is like one of the only games where, win or lose, you're kind of on the people side. You're not really working for the house.
No, not at all. Yeah. I mean, the more these people make, chances are the more you're going to make, right?
Yeah.
Because they tip you at the end of the day. But
you ever play craps?
Yeah.
It was a grind, dude.
A lot of the good dealers, they kind of help you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm really good at what do they call it? Establishing the point.
Yeah.
Putting out all my bets and then craps comes the very next roll. I'm really good at that.
That goes into I have a system.
Okay.
Right? After being a dice
everybody
dealer,
has a system.
Dude. If I didn't need to do real estate anymore, or if it just imploded and this is what I'd be doing.
You'd be doing dice.
I'd be going and doing my system in dice.
So, okay.
I got a fail-proof system, dude. But you have to go in with a mindset.
Right.
That you're going to make a certain amount of money and then you're leaving.
Okay.
Right? But you have to have patience. It's not a quick, hey, let me go in for 2 minutes, make 300 and I'm out.
Right.
Right? No. There might be 6 hours that you're standing there to make $600 to $300.
No.
But bear in mind,
hard pass.
There's guys in there that will sit there, they'll drink for free, they'll get their buffet tickets, they'll make their $300, and at the end of the year, they're making $100,000. They don't give a shit.
You know what I love about Vegas, or maybe what I hate, I don't know. Every time you're in Vegas, and we still have our house in LA, so we're back and forth between LA and Vegas a lot, but like the once in a while that I meander down to the Strip to visit friends, like Vegas is the only place where it doesn't matter who you are, there will always be somebody richer, better looking, gambling with more money. Like, just your ego is crushed the minute you go to the Strip. I remember this night, my buddy and I, one of my previous employees, we were out, we were having a great, like, celebrating a big month. We're playing dice. We're up like $5,000 in craps. It's like all the money in the world. I'm like, this is crazy. And there's some guy, this like Chinese guy who's standing in the corner smoking a cigarette, and he's got like a tray of chips, and he's just throwing one out every roll on the don't pass line, right? You're like betting against the table. And so he leaves, and I asked the deal, I'm like, what's this stick in the muds deal? Like, he's like betting against us, we're winning, so he's losing. And he's like, oh, he comes here for vacation, probably 1 week a month. And every single hand, I don't know if you've noticed his little purple chips or whatever they are, he's betting 10,000 a hand on do not pass. I was like, wait, so that rack of chips right there, that's 10,000? I'm like carrying the math. I'm like, that's like $500,000? He's like, yeah. Yeah, he's just like flicking them out like candy, just losing them as fast as we can win. And I'm like, what level of wealth does this guy have to lose $10,000 a hand and not even like crack a facial expression? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a peon when it comes to the financial game in America or China especially. So what all right, so before we move on to real estate, sorry. You're just going to sit there, Michael, for a while. What's like some of the craziest stuff that you saw working on the Strip, dealing dice? Like, I mean, do people really come in, blow their rent money, and just like slam their head on the table?
1,000%. In fact, one of the craziest things happened like the first year I was in real estate. I was working what was called the bird game, which is 25-cent craps, right? Downtown, they put you on that game because they want you to learn and not have to, kind of
risk a lot of money.
Yeah, you don't
screw
have
up. It's
you don't
$7.
have any collateral that could potentially leave, and it's going to be a big deal. Right. So they put you on a bird game, but that's the most popular game because it's so cheap. So people are standing 2 and 3 deep trying to get on that team. This guy didn't want to leave the table, and he shit his pants right at the table.
He shit his pants
and pissed himself. And they had to close down the table, biohazard. They had to fucking rip up the carpet, the whole 9 yards.
Oh my God!
Disgusting.
All because he didn't want to leave his 25-cent bets?
He didn't want to lose the spot at the table.
Oh my God. People are crazy.
Crazy, dude.
I was at, I used to play a lot of poker in my 20s. I was at Commerce Casino one night, and I didn't actually see it happen, but we were sitting at a poker table like this, and up on the rail, there was some, like, no-bust blackjack, where you can't technically bust, but you can lose, but you got to pay, like, $5 a hand. That's how the house makes their money, whatever. And all of a sudden, there's this huge commotion. Security's over there. Like, they're, as fast as you can imagine, they're wheeling in an ambulance. I guess some guy had, like, lost his rent money, and just like this, slammed his face down the table, and from, like, skull to chin, split his face wide open, and it just looked like the Predator. You know, I was like, "Rah!" And I was like, what? Because people lose their mind when it comes to money and gambling.
Sure do.
Do you guys have to, kind of like a bartender has to back somebody off if they're too drunk? Like, do you back somebody off if they're too belligerent or they're like...
If they get belligerent, it's kind of up to the pit boss to step in, right? The dealer just sits there, right, and kind of goes through the motion.
This was 25 years ago, though.
Yeah, I haven't been on the
morals
table.
are a lot different now.
Now I'm the belligerent asshole on the other side.
Now you're like, I got backed off twice last week. It was really weird.
But you actually skipped a part. First ever job. What was it? You'll never believe it. First ever job in Las Vegas.
Oh, I worked at the A.J. Hackett Bungee Center.
What?
Bungee jumping.
So there was
hooking up bungee jumpers?
There was a bungee jump site in front of Circus.
Yeah, I remember that.
And out of nowhere, I met up with the guy who owned the rock climbing wall that was associated with it, right at the bottom of it. And he was like, listen, we're looking for people at the bungee side. I was like, fuck, I'll come and work. They paid me like $50 a day, whatever it was.
Right.
Right. And I just hung out there all day and flung myself off the bungee center every once in a while. Like when they were not, they didn't have a crowd or anything. Right. They would need people to do it. And I'd fucking jump like 3 or 4 times a day.
Oh, so you bungee jumped several hundred times.
Oh, yeah. It was kind of cool.
Even get
and
on a rooftop.
Now I can't even fucking look down.
He can't even get on a rooftop bar now. Like,
really?
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm like,
he's like
totally,
so anti-heights.
Totally scared of heights.
Oh, what a trip. Because we started coming up here probably in 86, 87. My uncle and his partner lived up here. They moved out here from Pittsburgh, really like only close family members I have anymore, like in the extended family. And so we were up here once a month. And I remember when they had that bungee jump, I wanted to go on it, but I was too young or I was too short or something. And then they had torn it down by the time, they got rid of all the like carny festival sideshow stuff in the front of Circus after a while. But all right, so you're born, you screw everything up. What makes you decide, like everybody else, like I got to do something that makes some money? Real estate sounds like a good idea.
So I was working with 9/11 happened, right? Okay. And at that point, I was working with a couple of guys in the casino, and one in particular, his name was Pasquale. He was in real estate, and quite honestly, he wasn't doing all that well. But he was, at that point when I had no money, he was like, I made $3,000 last week. I was like, what? What do you mean you made $3,000 last week? He was like, yeah, I'm doing this real estate. And that's when prices in town were like, the median price range was like 90,000.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The
higher end was like 175, right?
Yeah,
so, he was going out, he was hustling. He was working for, I think at that point, like Keller Williams or something like that. They were giving him leads. And he was like, oh man, someone like you'd kill it in real estate. You got to get in around. I was like, I don't know about real estate, right? To me, someone in real estate was a blue hair, right? With a raspy, voice, smoking 20 cigarettes a day.
Right.
Or, 20 packs of cigarettes a day. And I was like, it just doesn't fit what I'm looking for. So I gave it a little bit of time. I actually put myself into school. And 2 weeks in, I was like, you know what? I don't want to do real estate. So I went back and worked at the casinos. And within that next, 3 weeks to a month, I just had my fill. Like, someone must have said some bullshit to me or a pit boss or I was just like, I'm out, right? Coincidentally, I was diagnosed with cancer same week, right?
So you got a newborn baby.
It wasn't newborn. Oh. No, it was after my second child was born.
Oh, so, even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second child, cancer, 9/11, hate your job working in a casino.
Yeah,
Sounds like
an hospitality took a shit. So, the writing was on the wall that no one was coming to town.
I remember for a time, we drove up here because I would have turned 21 in 2000. We came up here right after 9/11. A bunch of us got we rented like an excursion, came up here because Aladdin, since it was like Middle Eastern theme, they could not give away a room.
Right.
And we got like the penthouse suite for like 12 people for like $39 a night or something like that.
I didn't even think of that.
And everybody was like, oh, dude, you're so like tacky for going to Vegas after 9/11. What if they attack? I'm like, right now is probably the safest time to go to Vegas because security is so high. And I remember the Aladdin, I had a friend who was an accountant there, or my uncle had a friend who was an accountant there. They went out of business shortly after 9/11 because nobody would visit a Middle Eastern theme casino. And then it became Planet Hollywood.
Planet Hollywood, yeah.
Yeah. So we came up after 9/11 to party our ass off, and there was like 8 people in the city.
So in the interim, I left the casino, but I went and worked for a company called Zepp Manufacturing. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. Zepp is a company that sells specialty maintenance products, right?
Okay.
And at that point, I really had no sales experience. I was working as a fireman. I worked in the casinos. I had my sales game going because I always liked to talk a lot of shit, but I never put it to work for me, right?
Yeah.
So a friend of mine worked for this company called Zepp. It was an independent contractor, and he went literally from business to business trying to sell everything, lubricants and hand soap and paper towels and fucking everything. He had 2,000 products in this catalog that I would try to sell.
It was like that. You're like the industrial Amway or something.
It was like the Acme, right, of Las Vegas. So I would walk from business to business and just basically walk in and try and give a demo on what I was trying to sell, whatever, and a lot of closed doors on that, right?
Yeah.
And then I went back and had a conversation with this guy, Pasquale, that was in real estate at that point. He was like, oh, dude, you got to get into real estate. So in going through that cancer therapy, I took an FMLA, family medical leave of absence from the casinos, got paid while I was doing it, still held my Zepp job, going out and like going through the motions and trying to sell. I was selling real estate. And then at night when everybody would go home, my son and my daughter and my wife was working at this private school. So I would go at like 11 o'clock at night and clean the floors and clean the bathrooms and clean the kitchen. And like, I was the janitor of the school. So at that point I was working 3 jobs, trying to get into real estate. Right.
All while fighting cancer.
All while fighting cancer.
So you're not a bitch at all.
No.
You know, I joke about that, but to hear that story today in 2023, it's like, I think the majority of people are just like, I'll give up. I'll live off the system.
I was going to say, they'll pay you anyway.
Yeah. It's like you know that scene in Cinderella Man where like after he starts winning fights again, he goes back. Oh, Cinderella Man's like one of my favorite movies.
Nick Cage?
No, with
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe.
Yeah,
so he's the boxer, and he's really
yeah.
down on his luck. He's on public assistance. He loses everything after being the world champion, and then he gets like his redemption tour and gets to fight again. And he walks back into the unemployment office with a roll of money and like gives it back to the state. And he's like, I don't need this anymore. Give it to somebody who needs it.
Right.
And like, I just can't imagine that mentality amongst 90, 95, 99% of Americans anymore. Yep. So was it the kids? Was it your wife nagging at you? Was it something from your childhood where you're like, failure's not an option. If I have to go work 3 jobs, I'll work 3 jobs.
Well, it was a mixture of a couple of different things. Everything that you just mentioned. My mother was a huge catalyst in my life about working hard. She was a single mom, raised 2 kids on her own. My old man split when I was like 2. And not only that, my mother was diagnosed with lupus at a very early age. So she basically put herself back through college and raised 2 kids on crutches, worked 2 or 3 jobs at the same time. Like, you know, Luckily I had good family around me because my mother was literally out of the house working and going to school for 20 hours a day. Would come home for 4 hours and go through the same thing over and over. I mean, winter, spring, summer, fall. You know, in Long Island, New York,
it's freezing.
The winters get horrible. And my mother didn't even have a car. She used to be on like a bus stop at 4:30 in the morning trying to go and go through all this. So her mentality basically resonated with me my whole entire life. There was never an option that I was never just going to sit back and be a bitch.
Right. Yeah. And with that childhood, there's no chance you're going to be a failure for your kids. There's just no chance.
No. And that resonated with my son too, because not only did I go through it myself, but I had all the stories from my mom and the guys who raised me. And I appreciate that my father left at such an early age because it really allowed me to resonate with a lot of different guys in my hometown and grab the best quality out of every single one of them. Believe me, there was a bunch of losers, but those losers had great qualities, right? He might have been a drug addict, but he was great to his wife and kids, right? He may have been a degenerate gambler, but man, he had a great job and he taught his kids well, right? So everybody had a great person or a great edge to them. No pun intended.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good.
It was was where I kind of like got my character.
You know, it's interesting because contrary to what we see now, where it's like you can't be accepting of somebody and say, oh, well, maybe this guy's got a good quality, or maybe this guy's got a little something I can steal from. It's like, especially politically now, if you don't pass 100% of the litmus test, then you're an outsider. You're not part of the tribe anymore. It's like, well, can I agree with a little bit from like column A and a little bit from column B and be a little conservative on this and a little liberal on this and like think this person's, you know, a great person here, but kind of a shitbag there. Like there's no tolerance. It's either you pass 100% of the purity test or you're out, which I just don't understand. Like I try not to think that way. I have some friends who I venomously disagree with, but they're great human beings. So of course I still want to be friends.
Of course.
So anyway, sorry, diatribe by me. Apologize. So I don't know what one of the the primary reason I wanted to interview you, and hopefully you don't get choked up on this, or maybe you will. But Michael was telling me this story about how proud he is of you as a dad, and he goes, when I was a teenager, my dad would wait till like the city was asleep. And I think you must have been working some other side job. And he's like, we'd go and we get 2 cups of coffee and we go to the guard tower at the fountains. He's like, and I was a teenager, and it'd be 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, whatever. And we'd go to the guard tower and be like, hey man, I'm here with my son. I'm clearly not a criminal. I brought you a coffee from 7-Eleven. Can you just let us walk the neighborhood and put some door hangers on? I'm too broke to send out mailers, but I really want to market in this wealthier neighborhood, the Fountains, because the more expensive house I sell, the better I can take care of my kids. I'm just going to go walk the neighborhood with my kid and put, flyers on the doors. Will you give me a break? And most of the time, the guard guy would let you in for a cup of coffee. Yep. And when Michael said that, I was like, man, for you to have that memory, how old are you?
Dude, so I'm 26 right now, but I think that was when I was like 9.
Oh yeah, you were really young. You weren't
really young.
Teenager.
That's when my real estate career started.
Yeah.
And you don't realize it until now.
Yeah, so that's 18, 19 years ago, man. Like, that resonated with him. And when he told Karina and I that story, we were like getting a little choked up. We're like, oh, that's really great. Like, American success story. Yeah. So I really like this kid.
It's true.
So what do you remember from your childhood?
So all the odd jobs that he would have, I would kind of be like Will Smith's son in Pursuit of Happiness, just following him. Right. So he'd be like door knocking on businesses to sell Zep products, which we still have like half the products in the garage.
You didn't sell shit?
Dude, no. I sold a lot.
No, he got a lot of the.
I was like rookie of the year, and I got some accolades with it, but I got a lot of demos. So I stocked up all my shit, right?
Right.
So,
dude, if anybody needs like degreaser, we got it. We got like a 55-gallon drum.
You're like, I'm using toilet paper from 22 years ago from Zed's.
No, seriously, I think my mom just recently started buying.
Yeah, I had like 20 cases of toilet paper, dude.
Swear.
I'm dead serious.
Before COVID,
the biggest problem was like storing it.
Oh, shit.
I'd give it to like my father-in-law.
Yeah.
Pop, hold on to like 8 cases.
Yeah. Yeah. So I remember all that stuff, but growing up, I was in that certain sweet spot where my sister did not get the same experiences that I did.
Right.
I was like 2 years behind my sister, 3 years behind my sister actually, but she skated by and gets a little bit better of the.
So wait, you're older or younger?
Older.
Okay, yeah. So
26.
you were a little bit poorer. By the time your sister can remember,
Exactly.
maybe you had a little bit more money in the family coffers.
Exactly.
But you got to do all the odd jobs, sweep up the floors, go door to door.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember
that's a
all
good
that.
work ethic, right? It's something that I learned at a very early age. The guy who raised me, who Michael is actually named after, my Uncle Mike.
Oh, wow.
World War II veteran, right? General Patton's right-hand man. I mean, went on to become such a successful guy in his own right. He taught that to me and my brother growing up. I mean, literally from the time I'm 6 years old, I was raking leaves up and down the boulevard. I was just doing odd jobs with him, and there was no question that we were going to work. Right?
Yeah.
If you weren't going to school and you didn't have shit to do, you're working.
Right.
So,
Michael, did you get a chance to meet Mike?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is he still with us, or do you,
he's
World
not.
War II?
Yeah. He would be about 103 right now, but
yeah,
he died about 20 years ago.
And how did he come into your life?
Well, he was my mother's uncle.
Okay.
Right. So he was my great uncle. He was 55 years old when I was born. And when my old man took off, he was the guy who kind of stepped in.
Yeah.
Right? He was the guy who was like, I'm not going to try and take the place of your father, but I'm going to be the father figure that you should have.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's exactly what he did.
It's crazy. My stepdad, great guy. Well, great guy because he puts up with my mom, but great guy in his own right. But he's one of 8 or 9 brothers, and probably the only one, I'm guessing, who hasn't served time. And I always ask him, I'm like, Eddie, man, how did you end up on a different path than most of your family in, Boyle Heights, single mom, like just some craziness, right? And he goes, some guy just took an interest in me, mentored me, had me come down to the loading docks, and like from as early as I can remember, junior high school, I was loading up trucks, like just doing busy work for him, cleaning up, being low man on the totem pole. And then as soon as I turned 18, I had a job loading trucks, and then that turned into a job driving trucks, and then that turned into a job delivering beer. And it's been a great living for me, and he's got a great pension and a great 401k. And it was just that little change of like one male mentor who took some interest in his life early on, like changed the trajectory of his life versus the rest of his family.
Sure.
It's crazy when it just takes one dude to step up and change things.
You don't realize it.
Yeah, pretty nuts, man.
Unless you don't have it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you realize it.
I do. But, the funny part about it is, and I'll go back to it again, Uncle Mike was just one. He was the most prominent role. But seriously, I grew up in a very close-knit hometown that everybody knew each other. Like, we grew up amongst, like, my mother's friends, too, right? So everybody took an interest in my success, right? Although I was a motherfucker as a kid. I really was. I was not good at all, right? Seriously. That's another podcast, right?
Yeah, they're like, this Gorton kid.
But I'll tell you right now, everybody really, really admired my tenacity of just busting balls, right? So they all really took an interest in me, and I picked up the best qualities of a lot of different guys.
That's awesome.
And I tell them, even if they're not with us, I always make it a point to like reach out to their family members and tell them what their father, their mother, their uncle, like all of these guys that were in my life, made such a difference in my life.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Michael, do you remember the time or your age when it's like it stopped being all the odd jobs, the hustle, and it's like, oh, Dad's making it at real estate.
Yeah.
Like we have a real job here now.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
It was the day when he pulled up with his first 7 Series BMW.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm a big into cars, so it was pretty cool when he pulled up with that the first time.
What did that mean to you or to him or the family?
I thought it was. What do you think? I thought it was.
It was
looking back. It wasn't the right time.
It was definitely not the right time. I overextended myself for sure. And then, I mean, it's.
I grew up listening to all the Lil Wayne songs and watching all the music videos and stuff. So when I saw that, I'm like, oh, my dad has that too.
Yeah, you're like, my dad made it.
Yeah.
I was always of the mindset that, even it was almost like fake it till you make it, right?
Right.
You got to look the part before you can start walking amongst these people. And that's kind of what I did. And it paid off.
For people that don't know, the Fountains for a lot of years, probably 15 years, was like the premier community over here on the southeast side of Las Vegas before all this new construction went up in Summerlin and Green Valley and stuff like that. So can you walk us a little bit through the journey of like deciding like, hey, I'm not rich yet, but I'm going to find a way to break into this neighborhood and hobnob with the rich people in my community, and I'm going to sell more expensive houses. Like, obviously, the story of going and doing door hangers and getting people familiar with your name, but do you remember how long that journey was or how much work you were doing before you got the first listing and the second listing?
Yes.
And now, I think you mentioned you've sold like 50% of the houses in that complex.
More than that, yeah. Out of 198 of the homes in there, I've sold 135, and I have 136 in escrow right now.
Nice. And many of them you've sold multiple times, right?
Multiple times, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
so talk about that journey of like really being a local expert.
Okay. Well, in the very beginning, I was working with a company called Merit Realty, and at the very beginning, like I said, these homes were not very expensive. So it was literally getting on the phones and making 300 phone calls every day. Hi, this is Eric from Merit Realty. I see that you called on them, and I would just go through the motions every day. And sometimes I'd talk to these people several times a week. I know I called you yesterday, but I'm here to tell you
300 phone calls a day?
300 phone calls a day.
So
without a doubt. My first 3 months in real estate, 300 phone calls a day.
So I remember going to the office, and it was like Wolf of Wall Street style, So now being in real estate, I kind of see the difference, especially now that I got brought into a real estate environment that's a lot different.
Right.
But when he got into real estate, it was that, it was maybe 100 people on the floor, all in cubicles, kind of like call center.
Yeah.
But then they would leave the call center and go open up homes. They didn't have the Zillows. So they'd get sign calls.
Yeah.
100 sign calls. You're at that property. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Which is,
my God.
Yeah, it was very reactionary.
unheard of.
Yeah.
So I remember that time before he was even getting into the Fountains. And I you can explain it a little bit more, but before stepping away and doing maybe more of the luxury real estate side, they kind of took the owners of the company took a liking to him, and he was overseeing about 100 agents.
77 at my height.
77 at his height. So I would actually, before school.
And this was my first year in real estate. So, I mean, I went to become, my first month out the gate was 5 deals. Second month was 6 deals. Third month was, I think, 5 or 6 deals. And then right after that, they were like, listen, you're crushing it. Why don't you just manage all the agents? Not only can you do your own, but you'll get a rip on everybody else's. So that's where I kind of like got my
It sounds a lot
manager.
better than it actually was. Yeah. It wasn't.
Yeah. No, management
wasn't
always
glitz
sounds better than it was. I managed and got an override on 45 loan officers at one point in my career, and made less money managing the 45 loan officers than I did just doing my own business.
Yeah.
So management always sounds sexy till you get stuck in it.
Yeah, it worked out great for a while the market was hot, but when things started going wrong in a big way, I started having to think about, all right, how do I supplement and maybe increase my income, because these guys aren't cutting it anymore. Everybody was going back to their waiter jobs and shit like that.
Yeah.
And here I am, went from 77 agents, now I got 12.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the problem in Vegas, right, of building any business. Everybody is so transient. I mean, same in LA. People come there to be a movie star and then they leave, and people come there to be a director and then they leave. Like, when you have a transient community, it's kind of good for the turnover of real estate, but it's really hard to build long-term partnerships, business allies, employees, team members. Because to your point, somebody can go back and be a blackjack dealer at the Wynn and be making $80,000 tomorrow with tips and salary, where it's like, it's a grind right now to make $80,000 in real estate. So you're in this call center environment. The 300 calls a day just blows my mind, because
crazy.
Because I coach loan officers and I'm always begging them to make 10 calls a day. I'm like, just call 10 people in your database, or 10 realtors who you're friends with, or you guys probably get them. Send out 10 text messages a day with an interesting story about the market, or just try to connect with 10 people a day. And it's like pulling fucking teeth, bro.
300 a day.
300 a day.
So you remember that movie Glengarry Glen Ross?
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, he comes out with the Glengarry leads.
Yeah.
The deal was, I worked for this company, and they were owned by these guys that were fucking sharks, dude. I mean, these are the guys that you wanted mentoring you your first year in real estate. But they wouldn't give you fresh leads unless you made your 300 phone calls a day. Right?
So it's exactly out of Glengarry Glen Ross.
Exactly, right? And I was the one that really took it to heart, right? It was 300 phone calls a day. I wanted the shittiest leads in the place, because that means the shittiest leads haven't been called in a week. Right? You want the good leads? Well, they've all been called fucking day after day after day for the last week. I want the ones that have cobwebs at the bottom. They literally used to take a stack of paper leads and put them in the corner to where they were like 3 feet high. I'd take them off the bottom. Off the bottom every day. 300 phone calls a day. It's like going through a ream of paper.
Any realtor that's listening to this right now will be like, I have to call these Zillow leads 5 times before they pick up my call. I'm like, bro, you need to learn a little something from Eric. Just call them 300 times until they...
At the end of the day, that 300 phone calls, who cares? I mean, at the end of the day, yes, you want to sell something, and the ultimate goal is to sell something. But what most people don't realize, you're sharpening your blade with every single phone call. Every word that you say, you're becoming more of a samurai. You're learning how to rebut every single one of their rebuttals. You're learning how to savvy, get into their mind and go after the things that are most important to them. So most people don't realize that. They think calling a lead is just to try and connect with someone to sell a house. I thought of that first 9 months in real estate by calling all of those leads as literally tuition.
Yeah.
Right? I was going through learning how to properly sell real estate. And the first thing I need to do before I know the papers, everybody gets caught up on the SRPD and the fucking, how to properly navigate the MLS. Get the fuck out of here. Right? I want to learn how to sell.
Right.
And once I can learn how to do that, I can get through anything. Right?
The best thing in Gary Keller's book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, he's like, your first job as an agent is to prospect, and your second job is to prospect, and your third job is to prospect. And somewhere way down the line is negotiate a contract. Because if you bring in a lead, somebody in your office will help you fill out the damn contract for $100.
I've told every single person that's ever come on my team, and there's been a few, right? Some have succeeded that are still doing phenomenally in real estate right now. Nice. Some have fell by the wayside, and some are still with me. But I always tell people, don't worry about all that bullshit.
Yeah.
The primary role right now, you're not a real estate agent. You're marketing yourself. Right. You're marketing your business, and you're learning how to speak with people on a real estate level, right? Because it's not the same thing as having a conversation about anything else, right? They're looking to you for guidance. Right. They're looking at you to be the professional. And unless you sound like that, you sound like an asshole.
Totally.
Right?
Totally. So what year did you got in around 9/11?
Yeah, just after 2002.
2002. And then when did you start to feel some success where it's like, all right, I can put away all these little side gigs. I'm not going back to dice. Like, I'm making it. I got a sustainable book of business. And
it was about 3, maybe 4 years later.
3 years.
So the first 3 years, the first year out the gate, I started selling homes and I was doing well. And I felt like I was doing good. But it's certainly, I mean, again, at that price point, wasn't a lot of money, dude.
Right.
And then I went to be a manager of the agents. But then I started farming the fountains very early, right? So the fountains was my primary target from the get-go because it was in such close proximity to the house that I was living in. And I would pass by it every single night coming home and going to the office every day. So I'd stop in and say hello to the day guard, I'd bring him a cup of coffee. And then on the way home, I'd stop and make friends and bring coffee to the night guard every single night. Right?
Ended up being the big homie.
Yeah.
The night guard.
I still hang out with that guy.
The night guard has helped our family a lot.
Yeah. How much do you think the night guard how much money do you think the night guard made you by letting you into that door? Millions. That's crazy.
Yeah, and he knows it. And I take very good care of him. He's an older guy. Him and his wife are they live kind of paycheck to paycheck, and he's still doing the guard thing, right? But I never forget, man.
Yeah, that's
I
awesome,
never forget.
man. So you hit your stride just in time for the market to collapse.
Just in time.
But you know what? You're like, I'm crushing it. I finally got here.
It worked to my favor.
Really?
Right. Yeah, because I started working and sending out marketing when no one was doing it, right? Everybody got used to just the phone ringing. You go out, you sell a home. No one had to do any marketing.
Right.
And then when things started going horribly wrong, no one had enough money to do any marketing, including me. I had no money for marketing, printing, or postage, right? So what did I do? Michael alluded to it a little bit in his previous statement or his previous story, that I basically started printing out copy paper with, regular on Word document, just saying some shit about real estate. And after 30 months of continuously going through marketing and putting some, postcards together and letters and just handing things out to put it in their mailbox without postage, I got my first phone call.
So you went 30 months.
30 months without getting not one phone call.
Holy
30 months.
shit.
First off, we bought about, what would you say, maybe $100 printer, and my mom was pissed.
Yeah.
First off, it was, the old printers?
Yeah.
She was so mad that there was this big printer in our living room.
The dining room.
The dining room. And that he spent $100.
Yeah, I had no money.
She was like, what are you doing? What do you mean you're going to print off? Remember it had it was like.
How old were you during this time?
Like 9.
9, yeah.
Yes,
about 8 or 9.
8, 9. But if you remember, they would charge you more if it printed faster.
Yeah.
So he was like, I need the 12 prints per minute, the PPM. I need it to print 15 prints per minute. And she was so mad. So mad.
Yeah, she got aggravated with me a couple of times by,
and we
doing
would
a postcard or,
we would put together
the,
it's so easy now. You could go on Fiverr, you could go on Upwork. And somebody and probably not even here on Earth will make it real quick and then send it to you. And all right, $50, $100. I don't know if you remember, but through Microsoft, the package, they had like an Illustrator type program. They don't have it anymore.
Right.
But we would make templates off of that, door hangers. We would make the 8.5 by 11, and we thought it was so cool. Oh, drag and drop, and just making these silly things. We'd have like fake clouds in the back and shit. He'd be like, "Oh, this is nice."
I didn't know any better.
Yeah, I know. Right? That was cutting edge technology at the time.
Dude, it was crazy. And you had to see the computer that he had. It was probably the width of this desk.
Yeah. It was big.
Like just
and I sat in my walk-in closet. I had all my clothes over here, and there was like a little desk that I built. And I had my chair in there, my walk-in closet, and I used to do my computer work. And the only thing I used to access the internet for was the MLS. Right. Nothing else. Like even email was fucked up. Right. We used to do fax at that point.
Right.
And check it out. That computer, you actually won through Zep for being a top producer.
That's right.
Oh my God.
It was the monitor. I don't even think you won the computer. You won the monitor.
The computer was the one they gave me.
Okay.
To monitor my Zep activity.
Yeah, so I remember all this.
So I bought. Oh God, I still get an ulcer when I think about Vegas real estate because in August of 2007, so literally the height of the market, we bought a condo, and I say we, me and two buddies who used to come up here a lot. My one buddy who works for Citibank and another guy I worked at the bank with. We bought a condo south of the South Point Hotel off of Agate, A-G-A-T-E. Yeah, right behind Lee's Discount Liquor. Brand new complex, beautiful indoor, outdoor pool, gym, this, that, tennis court, the whole 9 yards. We bought that place for $323,000. This beautiful 3-bedroom, 3-bath condo, furnished it out. We thought we were just living large. We're like, cool, we'll have a retreat up here. Airbnb wasn't a thing yet, but we'll rent it out to our friends and stuff. We'll crush it. We bought that August of 2007. 6 months later, it was worth about $150,000. And then I don't know if you remember this, but there were so many, I know you remember it, but there was so many foreclosures in Vegas that Wells Fargo came out and said, we will not under any circumstances lend on a condo in Las Vegas or in Nevada because so many HOAs are going bankrupt. So overnight, whatever Wells Fargo did, everybody else followed. And then Washington Mutual was going down. Countrywide was going down. So overnight, condos in Nevada
were unsellable.
We went from 150 grand to maybe you could sell it for 60 grand all cash.
Right.
And my buddy at the time working for Citibank was just starting his career or just like getting kind of his big boy wings in mergers and acquisitions. And he's like, they run my credit like every 6 months. I have to fill out this financial disclosure. We cannot have a foreclosure on my credit. So we kept that house, we kept that condo for another 11 years, and we sold it in 2018 for 180 grand because we had paid down the mortgage enough to at least break even. So we just lost our shirt on that freaking condo. And so I want to hear from you, who's a realtor in that market. I mean, financially, there was blood in the streets. Like, how do you make it through 2008, 2007, 2007, 8, 9, 10? I remember it started to turn in 2011. FHA lending opened up a little bit more. Borrowers were back in the market. But, like, how do you go 3 years with just no paycheck or just blood in the streets financially? Did you have investors or what were you doing?
Yeah. So what I was talking about before, after sending to not only the Fountains, but I incorporated Grand Legacy and a couple of other guard-gated communities in the Green Valley area, right? I started to make a little bit of a name for myself that I was always there, right? A lot of people turned off their advertising and weren't even vocal about anything. It was almost like they disappeared. Right. And I was the only one that was putting shit in their mailboxes. I mean, I remember I used to get yelled at with putting stuff in people's mailboxes without any postage, and they'd call me up and be like, that's a federal offense. You can't. So I'd go to the post office and I'd buy a book of 1-cent stamps.
Yeah.
So I'd get 10,000 1-cent stamps for $100.
Right.
Right. And I'd put it right on their little fucking envelope and I'd be like, listen, dude, it's got postage. What are you talking about? Right. So I
love it.
So I would start getting creative with people and they started taking a liking to me. So through all of those times, a lot of people that were living behind these guarded gates took advantage of the situation and started buying rental properties and properties that would be for.
So you weren't selling in the Fountains, but the wealthier people who lived in the Fountains could afford to come buy my $60,000 condo.
1,000%. 1,000%. So the overflow, well, not the overflow, but the web that ran through all of these neighborhoods, it was like, the people who lived in these guard-gated neighborhoods weren't the people that were going through foreclosure at that point. These are the people that were well-established, right, that had money, like the Greenspun family and the Fines and those people that went through there. Not only that, they all knew people that were either moving into or out of Las Vegas. So I became kind of like the Green Valley guy, right?
Yeah.
So literally, it was the best professional move that I've ever made to start doing that religiously, that people took notice. I was doing open houses when everybody forgot them. They were like, fucking open house. There's 12 for sale on that street.
Right,
I was like, great, let me get all the keys. I'll show all the fucking properties, right?
Right.
So I was the only one out there literally hustling every day, and now I'm kind of reaping the benefits from all that work that I did in the very beginning.
So, Michael, you lived through all this craziness, and then you decide, hey, instead of a stable job, I think I'll go be a realtor too.
Yeah.
I think that's impressive. I think you're crazy.
Yeah.
Like, what made you think like, oh yeah, I've seen Dad like almost have a stroke and a heart attack over these market forces, and you know what I want to do? I want to do that.
I don't know what I was thinking, honestly. I don't know what I was thinking.
You're 28. How old were you when you started?
26, and I've had my license for 5 years now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So 21, 22.
So the first 4 years were like boomtown for you.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm crushing it. I'm going to retire by 35.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been interesting.
But all joking aside, like, did you go to college? Did you try something else first?
Yeah, I started working at 16. My first job, the day I turned 16, was at the Four Seasons Las Vegas. I worked at the pool.
Nice.
And I hate the heat, so I worked at the pool, but for 4 seasons. 4 seasons. Yeah.
Funny how that works.
4 seasons. So I did the pool. I did go to college for a little bit, UNLV, and then U of A first, UNLV.
Okay.
And in between going to college and still living at home and everything, I actually got another job at the Venetian front desk. So I wanted to get into casinos, but not the casino part, more the hospitality.
Yeah.
And that's what UNLV was kind of known for, the hospitality school.
Right.
So I thought that's what I wanted to do until I checked in like 400, 500 people a day. And I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah. And they're all miserable.
Miserable. Smoking in front of you, or just, the Venetian's actually kind of cool because Monday through Friday, they have a lot of the people that come in for conventions. And then Friday through Sunday, you had your party crowd.
Right.
So where a lot of the casinos were empty Monday through Thursday, they had their on-site banquet hall and all that. So they would keep it pretty full. So it was really interesting, and it taught me definitely how to, I would not have succeeded if I just got into real estate at like 16 or 18,
right,
when you can get your license. If dad will just handle it, or I don't have to be at the office by this time. So working for the casinos and having to show up at a certain time, wear certain attire, do all that, it taught me.
And talking to 400 or 500 people a day, checking them in, that just to your point sharpens that skill set of like knowing how to talk to all different ethnicities and ages, and like people that are drunken on pills and just trying to check in to gamble, and then people that are miserable and there for a banquet they don't want to go to. So
it taught me a lot. And one day I was so over it, and I started to see, we know a lot of people who grow up in Vegas and kind of follow the trail of, hey, I'm going to start at the front desk and then I become a manager, and then, dude, these people are like 50 and they're still like, oh, I'm going to get that big break soon. And I'm like, you're
in like management or something.
Yeah. And you always get cut in front of somebody else's son who's closer to the CEO or something like that. So a lot of politics that way.
No, Vegas is political.
Not at all.
Say it ain't so.
So I started to see a lot of that, and I did, say what you want about real estate, and a lot of people that get into real estate for this reason don't succeed, but it does give you the flexibility.
Yeah.
If you use it properly. So I when I turned 21 and 22, before I got into real estate, but still working at the Venetian, he'd hit me up on a Thursday like, hey, we're going to Laguna for the weekend. Can you get off? And I'm like, I got to ask this girl if I can go, like, her permission to go to Laguna and stay at the Montage for the weekend.
Yeah. Hey,
like,
boss, can I have a bathroom break?
Yeah. So that started to grind my gears a little bit.
Yeah.
So, one day I remember I sat him down. I'm like, I think you were kind of taken off guard.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I think I want to do this. And he was like, you sure?
Yikes.
Yeah.
You're like, do you want to have an ulcer or?
But you know what? I've always kind of been on your back shoulder.
Yeah.
No matter what.
It was a natural progression. I mean, he came into the mix and fell into it pretty well.
Yeah.
Right. It was a good ramping up period because he kind of understood my lingo, because for many, many years before that, he's been listening to everything that I said, right? So to get him on the phones wasn't really a stretch.
Right.
It was just...
here's a phone, talk like me.
Well, seriously, after the first, maybe, 100 conversations, he actually did sound like me a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because he was saying key things that he would hear me say religiously years and years and years. So it kind of was a good natural progression for him.
Yeah. So, knowing that everything in the real estate market, all financial markets are like really cyclical. And I'm going through this a little bit with my 20-year-old where I'm like, man, I really want you to make your own mistakes. And I really just want to shake you sometime and be like, just take my knowledge and don't eat shit and make the same mistake that I made when I was 20. How is that for you? Like watching your son cut his teeth in the same business that's been, really rewarding for you and your family, and also at times had you and your wife fighting over $100 printer.
Sure.
how do you let him make his own mistakes and be his own man, but also be like, this is my son. I kind of want to protect him from the craziness of this market and, the financial downturns.
Yeah, we have a good line that I feel like we stay on both sides, right? I know kind of the threshold I can push Michael, and I think he knows the same thing about me. So we kind of stay in our lane.
Interesting. And what is your lane right now? Like, are you a buyer's agent and you're a seller's agent, or do you split leads, or what do you guys do?
Well, I can turn all my leads off tomorrow and still live a very, very comfortable lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Just off of phone calls that are incoming.
Right.
So I generate the leads and basically go out and market not only online, but do a lot of print marketing and social marketing, to whereas all the leads that come in get split up between the agents. Yeah, I can't say that I cherry pick, but I do know certain people that will fit with certain personalities.
Right.
And Michael tends to, if they fit with me, I know they're going to fit with Michael perfect.
Right.
It's like, chip off the old block.
Yeah. And, realtors are always so weird about talking about this stuff. So tell me to shut up. It's none of my business. But, do you know how many people you have to have in your database to lead to how many calls, to lead to how many buyers or sellers? Do you have an idea this far into your career? Hey, man, I got 4,000 people in my database I'm mailing to, I'm calling to, the agents that work for me are keeping in. That's going to keep 4 people fed, making over $100,000 a year. So, do you kind of know what those conversion ratios are?
I know what yes and no. And what I mean about that is I know what the ideal number is, but it's never that number.
Right.
It fluctuates. It's almost like it evolves every single day with every single thing that comes out in propaganda, right? Everything you hear on the news changes the whole, cycle. So my ideal numbers, I know exactly what those numbers are, but it never hits that. So, it's constantly evolving and you have to evolve with the market.
Yeah. And so we're recording this early 2023, and I keep this little Game of Thrones, the Ice King here. I've kept this on my desk for probably 6 years to remind myself, my coaching clients, then we started the podcast, that winter's coming, right? And I was telling everybody for years, especially in 2020, 2021, when realtors and loan officers were just printing money. Everybody wanted to invest in a bigger house because they're stuck home because of COVID. Everybody was refinancing because the rates were so low. Everybody was overpaying for houses because the rates were so low. I was like, hey guys, pay off debt, downsize your house like we did, put some money in the bank, winter's coming. I did not expect it to turn as rapidly as it did in 2021 with the bad news. Historically, in the history of America, we've never seen interest rates rise as dramatically as they did, on average from 2.75 to 6.75 in 8 months. I'm actually surprised it didn't get worse faster. I think luckily most Americans have been properly underwritten and got good loans the last 10 or 12 years. A lot of people sitting on a lot of equity. But where is the temperament right now in early 2023 of your average buyer and seller you're working with? For context, when we started working with Michael about a year ago, my wife and I were thinking 2 million, 2.2 million, no problem. Now we're should we even be thinking about $1.5 million, $1.3 million? Maybe that $2 million house is $1.3 million. And now we're thinking well, maybe we should just stay put here and buy a bunch of investment properties if the time is ripe to get a deal on a house. So our psyche, I feel bad for your son, man. We've been fucking with him for 10 months. My psyche is Michael, we're buying. Make an aggressive offer. No, make a lowball offer. No, we're going to buy an investment property. No, don't call us. We'll call you. It's if I was my realtor, I would have fired me a long time ago.
That's all good.
But what is the psyche right now for, maybe you can talk to the average seller psyche, and Michael, you can talk to the average buyer psyche right now.
So everybody, coming from a seller's aspect, everybody's still feeling the hangover from what was happening, 6 months ago. Right? Everybody really still truly believes that their house is made of gold. Right. And they deserve 300% more equity than what it's currently worth. Right. So unfortunately, it's been an adjustment period for the sellers. But I do think that with interest rates not being so aggressively higher than they are, or currently have gotten to, I think people are generally coming to the mindset of, okay, we spiked way too high, way too quick. And now realistically, rather than, worrying about what my house was worth in 2016, 17, and 18, it's still worth way more than that right now.
Yeah.
So although it's not at the peak where it was last year, we only lost about 20% off of that, but it's still 80% more than what it was in 2016. Right?
Yeah, I had this conversation
the
with a seller,
not the home.
Yeah. I had this conversation with a client the other day. They're like, "Well, yeah. Middle of COVID, I could have got $1.6 million, and I'm probably going to take $1.4 million." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I understand. That's really frustrating." I'm like, "We did your loan, 8 years ago. What'd you buy it for?" They're like, $470. I'm like, oh, so you bought in Eagle Rock, California at the perfect time at the bottom of the market in 2012 or whatever for $470. You're now going to sell it for $1.4 million instead of $1.6 million. Oh, let me pull out the world's smallest violin that you made $1 million. Yeah. And by the way, I'm a nutcase about databasing, so I can go back and look at all my previous leads. And I looked at that and I was like, I mean, we pulled together this $400,000 loan by the skinny skin of our skinny skin teeth. And I was
So
like,
you couldn't even get the loan.
I was like,
at that
it was a
point.
miracle you got into this $470,000 house. I should be getting like a 20% commission on that $1 million equity, but I didn't say that. I was much more polite than that.
People are becoming more realistic, though.
Yeah.
Right?
So do you think, because whatever news cycle you watch, whether it's MSNBC or Fox News or whatever, that they're starting to use the word recession? They're talking about, I don't want to get too political, but I can only imagine if there was still a Trump type person in office. I mean, last year, 2022, was the worst year in recorded history if you had that 60-40 blend of stocks and bonds, because stocks got their ass kicked. And then because interest rates went up so fast, bonds got their ass kicked. And I didn't hear a whole lot about it. I think if the media was still full frontal assault against Trump, everybody and their brother would be freaking out because they'd be like, have you guys heard how much the stock market is down? And it was kind of just like a blip on the radar. But last year was real bad financially. Yep. Has that helped the sellers come in line with like, oh, my stock portfolio is down, whatever price of this is down, maybe my house price is down? Is that getting into the psyche of the homeowner?
Yes, but the things that have happened on Wall Street have actually hindered us because those people have kind of buckled down. I'm not going to make any transition. I'm going to stay until things correct. So that recession word, although no one wants to talk about the elephant in the room, right? It's a real thing when it comes to people of wealth. Now, when you deal with people that really don't pay attention to that type of shit, right? They made some drastic moves, and a lot of people sold, got their equity, and now they're in an overpriced rental, right? Got it. But, in the grand scheme of things, like you said, it's all cyclical. It's all going to come around, right? So Wall Street will make a turn, right?
Right.
And it's already happened. The Treasury bonds are still, our correction. The correction on that is pretty good.
Yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things, people of wealth that are in, especially from my standpoint, from a seller standpoint, have paid attention to that and they've put the brakes on things.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because that's why you didn't see a lot of inventory too. Although interest rates were lower than they are right now and home prices were high, the stock market sucked.
Yeah.
So there was two things with that. If I do sell my home, grab the equity, where the fuck do I go?
Yeah, where am I going to put it?
And at the end of the day, my portfolio is down, 30%. So I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to stay right where I'm at.
That totally makes sense. And, you said something in there and kind of glossed over it. I think the rents are buoying the whole thing, right? Because even I was talking to Michael, I was like, well, theoretically, let's say my house, I bought it for $5,000, could have maybe sold it a year ago for $750 and now it's worth $650. It's like, all right, great. I sell it for $750. Where am I going to go?
Right.
Because I still got to rent a place. I still got to have a place to put my family, and nothing on the horizon makes it look like rents are going to go down. As a matter of fact, I think just fewer and fewer rentals are being owned by mom and pops that are, dramatic about raising their rents and maximizing every penny, and more of it is owned by larger conglomerates. So I don't see anything on the horizon that causes rents to go down, which kind of then buoys the prices because it's like, well, I can go rent for $3,500 or I can buy for $650. Yeah, I'd rather buy for $550, but I'll buy for $650 because it's the same as rent.
Vegas is a little bit of an anomaly, right? You hear nationwide news and national news about the real estate market. It really doesn't come into the Las Vegas theme of things because it's almost like an entity all on its own, right? There's dramatic spikes and there's dramatic falls in Las Vegas. So when it comes to this, yes, rentals are overpriced. There's really no inventory.
Right.
And anything that comes on the market of realistic prices are being gobbled up by these large companies, right? So I think with the stabilization of interest rates, which we've already seen, with the stabilization of inventory coming to market, where a month ago there was 9,400 homes on the market. Luckily, we're down to like 7,100, 7,200.
There was 9,400 homes on the market in Clark County, Vegas area?
And that's including townhouses, condos, just everything from soup to nuts. Right. Now, at the end of the year, you always see people drop off, whether it be expired or withdrawn. So now you have 7,100 homes on the market, which is typically around a stable market as far as Las Vegas is concerned. But I think people have gotten more realistic because they realize that it's not going to go down all that much more.
Because when it was an extreme seller's market and you were lucky to find a property 2 years ago, what was there, 2,000, 2,500?
16 to 1,700.
Yeah, I think at one point it was like 1,300.
You and I looked at homes before that were of about 1,500.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
And that is not a normalized market. That's just the sellers can just bend you over a barrel at that case and get whatever they want. Yeah.
And they were.
Yeah.
And check it out. I mean, prior to COVID, Las Vegas was not sustained or built for the influx of people that we did have. So prior to COVID, they weren't, these home builders that are thinking 2-3 years out, that are pulling the permits and getting ready to level off a piece of land and put maybe 300 homes, they weren't expecting the people from California, well, COVID to happen, and then the people, the untethered worker.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't expecting that. So now people from the Bay Area, people from Southern California, we're even seeing people from these places that really went to shit, Seattle, Portland, New York, Chicago, these large cities, they're all coming to, and you know, Las Vegas isn't the only one. They're going to Texas, they're going to Arizona, but Las Vegas is one of them.
Yeah.
And
I have a buddy, Mary. She's been a realtor up here for 40 years. You know, she's the 20 packs a day, love her to death. But she was talking to me, and she's like, yeah, I haven't sold a house to somebody who currently lives in state for 2 years. Wow. And she said exactly what you said. When COVID hit, and people were like, wait a minute, I can get a 10% tax break because there's no state income tax here. I don't have to work from my office anymore. And Southwest has a flight every hour on the hour. Well, at least they used to. Not this week, yeah. Southwest has a flight every hour on the hour back and forth to LA, Burbank, San Francisco, Seattle, Portland. Yeah. It's like, you know, Portland all of a sudden becomes like a commuter town of Vegas, where you can get more house, more value, more entertainment, better weather, and for a lot of these tech people, especially, a 10% raise is a big deal.
Yeah,
you know, 10% raise on $300,000 because you're not paying state taxes. Now all of a sudden your $700,000 house is free. So yeah, it's nuts.
And bear in mind, a quarter acre, which to you and I living here doesn't sound like a lot, but people that live in the Bay Area who's lived in a duplex or a fourplex for their whole life, you know, they come out here, they're like, holy cow, I have land. This is grass.
I have a yard.
Yeah. It's like, it's unreal. I can have a dog. I can raise children here and everything. So it's, you know, the influx of people that we needed, or that we did have, it needed to be planned for 10, 15 years prior.
Right.
You know?
It didn't happen.
So that's why you saw such little inventory during COVID. And now to go over to the buyers, you know, come May to about August, it was hard there.
Yeah.
Last year now. I didn't see much movement. Come about September, I started to see people at least get comfortable with, all right, this is the new norm.
Right.
You know, I was talking about it with him the other day. You know, you gotta, it's a double-edged sword. You were either paying $50,000 up front for a home that you were paying over appraised value for, or you're going to pay the $50,000 in over 30 years in interest.
Yeah.
So people were really front loading their interest and not knowing it for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And you know,
in LA for the last 14 years.
Yeah,
you know, you've had to bid 50, 100, 200 grand over. And it's funny because what you're saying is, so I'm writing that down. You're saying is,
it's front loaded interest.
You can either front load your interest by paying 200 grand over the purchase price.
Yeah. You could spread it out over 30 years.
Yeah.
But and this is what we've been telling people. If you choose the latter, you have an option of refinancing into a lower interest rate, and you may not have to pay that price. Right. So, you know, I just saw a post one of my agents put out. You date your rate. You buy your home, but you date your rate.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, that's a
or
really,
you marry
really
your
popular
home and you date your rate.
Yeah.
Right?
It was hard last year. It got fucked up.
Real fast.
Yeah. If someone would have told me January 1st, 2022, that, hey, in 4th of July, you're going to be quoting people at the 7% interest rates, I would have thought, grab your guns and stock up on water, because it's going to be Armageddon.
Right.
And although that didn't quite happen, it was I saw tumbleweeds for a few months in the office.
Yeah, but bear in mind, and I mean this with the utmost sincerity, we never took a step back, right? So although it was hard, we still made more than the year before.
Yeah.
All of us on the team.
Yeah.
There wasn't an
awesome.
agent that I have that for the last 5 years has taken a pay cut. Not once.
And most people can't say that, by the way.
No, not at all.
Do you equate that to the marketing, the database, the hustle, what is it on your, yes. Yeah. All the above.
It's almost like I have a pie with 8 slices. I have to be in every single portion of that pie, right? Because if I leave something go by the wayside, it's just allowing someone to cut me in line.
What are some of those slices? Like when you think about your strategic business plan, where are you allocating time, dollars, things like that?
Well, dollars towards print marketing, social marketing, being all over it, everywhere that I can socially. Getting out and actually shaking hands with people that I've never spoken to before, important, right? No matter how much you feel uncomfortable, you got to network with people, right? Especially, people who know people. So, get out with a client that you know is a doctor in a room full of other doctors that don't know you yet. So, the marketing plan is, like I said, evolving, but a majority of our money goes into staying connected with people and and accruing new business.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it was funny because at the open house that we met you at in the Fountains, I walked in, you were the listing agent, you were the one that was there, you were the one that follows up. And I got to tell you, most of the big shot listing agents that I know in Southern California and the other ones that I've met in Vegas, they either they don't run their own open houses, which blows my mind because that's your number one marketing opportunity. And you find the greenest agent in your office who's not even on your team.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, Sam, I don't want to work. Can you go host my open house? The first open house, I think, is where we met you that weekend. Yeah. And I was like, I was impressed that, even though I ended up working with your son, I was impressed that, you were doing the open house. You did the follow-up. I got a text message from you. I got your cell phone number. And the number of agents, I don't know if it's their ego or their, financial stability or whatever. They just give up on that hustle, which blows my mind.
Yeah.
It's probably a little bit of all.
Yeah.
What you just said, ego, financial stability, everything. But
hey,
exactly
listen,
right.
it's easy to fall into that capacity, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to get up. I don't want to go do that open house. It's 1,000 degrees outside, or it's freezing out, or the wind is blowing, or whatever the fuck it is, right?
Yeah.
But I see it as an opportunity. It's either that or fuck around at my house doing nothing. Like, what am I going to do? I'll go out and try and give myself $100,000 raise today.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or, over the course of this next week. So I'm the type of guy I like to get out. I like to mix it up, right? I always like to stay involved. And, quite honestly, if I ever get to the point where I'm not doing the job by myself and telling everybody else to do it, that's the day I hang it up, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And where are you finding your clients, Michael? Like, are you mining the database? Are you going out? Are you building your own sphere of influence? Like, what are you finding since there's a generational gap, obviously?
Yeah. Yeah. So the people that were reliant on the Zillow leads and the pay-per-click leads and everything, those are the people that hurt the worst last year, so because that was so buyer heavy, and there's no debate. The buyers, they fell by the wayside last year. So, getting your name out to the same neighborhood where you and I met, that's my farm, and that's kind of what I
love that neighborhood, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So just keeping consistent, even if you didn't add another neighborhood, you don't have to send to 10,000 people, but make sure the 600 people that you send to, they're seeing you maybe more than once a month.
Right.
Maybe they're getting something that they could feel, but also maybe they're getting a handwritten, hey, I saw that your grass was dead and you may want to check that. Something silly that you just handwrite. Hey, I saw that you put really nice Christmas lights up. So I walked around and I shout out everybody that did Christmas lights around that neighborhood this year. So just stupid things like that. But you could do that. There's always a reason. Hey, I saw you put up an American flag. Awesome for 4th of July.
Yeah, God bless the United States.
Yeah.
Just anything that you could stay in contact with people.
Yeah.
Right? Even if it's, like I always keep a box in the back of my car, right? It's got sprinkler heads in it. It's got, things that, so if I see a sprinkler head broken, I'll fix it and then I'll just send them a letter. Hey, I saw that you were wasting a little bit of water. I know you're busy. I know you don't have the time to do it. I took care of it. No problem. Right?
You're shitting me.
I'm dead serious, dude.
So instead of doing like, it became really popular with during COVID and all the flippers, hey, buy 10,000 leads and mail all to them. And dude, all you need is one neighborhood to think that you're the actual neighborhood expert. And then you'll work with all those people and then the web will fall out from out of there. So
if somebody replaced my broken sprinkler head, I would ditch my own father as a realtor because
I do it all the time. I just did it 2 days ago.
I'm the least handy person. This is like where my man card gets revoked. I'm not good at grilling, and I'm the least handy person ever. We actually have a handyman coming tomorrow or 2 days from now to install some updated like Ring cameras and stuff. And I told my wife, I'm like, hey man, I'm just never going to get to it. Can you just give him like an extra $200 to go around the house and like tighten everything up, redo the drawers, redo like the little molding on the shop? Like I'm never going to be that guy. Other stuff, I'll move the whole fucking house tomorrow. I'll pack up boxes and load a U-Haul by myself. But like the handyman shit, I can't do. So if somebody stopped by and like just left me a note and was like, hey man, I saw that your flag holder was like a little off kilter. I just tightened all the screws for you. If you ever need a realtor, I'm your guy. Like I would ditch anybody for that realtor. So
and it's that easy.
Yeah,
but dude,
crazy.
check it out. Like just yesterday, last Wednesday. So I was in the Fountains, right? Everything leads back to the Fountains, but I was in the Fountains, right? And I see that, it was Thursday, so it was the day after garbage.
Okay.
And I realized that these people that I know still have their cans out on the street. So I pulled them up and I put them next to their garage, right? Well, they saw me on their surveillance camera. They called me up, right? We're in the car looking for a rental property, like right now, right? So, I mean, it led to, you just never know. I just wheeled their fucking cans up. They may have been out of town. I didn't want them to get a fine.
Right.
Right? So it turned into a phone call. Now they want to look at a rental property. I had them out this weekend. We haven't found one yet, but I'm sure we will.
That's
so to answer
insane.
your question, it's small things like that. And that's kind of what was taught to me getting into the business. And I saw even before I got my license. So, it's easy. And maybe prior to COVID 2018, when I got into the business, he wasn't doing pay-per-clicks at the time. It was kind of new. So
right.
Pay-per-clicks, you had to hire somebody to do it.
Right.
Well, they've gotten so easy that your typical realtor knows how to do it now. They have a ton of YouTube videos, or you could pay Zillow, or you could pay. So there's a ton of ways to get leads.
Yeah.
But, your time is better served going out and actually seeing the people and trying to cultivate the actual listing.
I have wasted so much money co-marketing with realtors who are like, Scott, I do, 30 deals a year. I'm a big deal, which in LA is a very big deal. And, I'm doing the Zillow leads, or I'm doing Boomtown, or I'm doing Sync, or Commissions Inc., or whatever. All I need is $1,000 a month, and we're going to close all these deals. And I finally stopped doing it a few years back. And the last person that asked me to do it, I love him. I won't use his real name. He's like, hey, we're going to do this CRM plus these leads plus these pay-per-clicks. It's going to be $5,000. We'll do $2,500 each. I'll guarantee that we're going to close 3-4 deals. To your point, I went on YouTube. I watched all the videos. I sent him a Google document. I'm like, all right, here's the Google videos I watched. Here's why I don't think it's going to work. Here's why I think we can redeploy the money. I respectfully have to say no. Here's my conversion ratio. Here's my 1 point that I make versus your 3 points. Oh, and by the way, my 1 point is on the loan amount, not the sales price. And I just went through the whole thing, and I'm like, it's just not a good deal for me, man. And he was pissed. Didn't talk to me for like 6 months. And then just recently, he started like exchanging some jokes on Instagram, and I was like, hey man, how are things going? Da, da, da. He was like, well, after $130,000, I realized that system that we looked at, your Google document, ended up being correct, totally correct. We never even made our money back. And so sure enough, I looked it up a couple years back, and Zillow, there was, I think this was 2020, there was 5 million real estate transactions in all of America. Zillow sold 101 million leads. Wow. So for every house that was closed in America, there was 20 leads sold on Zillow. And then you add in Lead Pops and Realtor Inc. and Commission Inc. and blah, there's probably 75 leads sold for every one house that closes. And you just go pull some guy's trash cans up into his yard and make a name for yourself. Like, how beautiful is that, man? So what do you, I hate to make you pull out the crystal ball. If you had to pull out the crystal ball, and we'll talk about Vegas specifically, and then maybe we'll talk more on like a nationwide trend, because I'm sure you guys get a lot of that news. Do you think Vegas falls another 5, 10, 20, 50%? Do you think it kind of levels out now that interest rates have stopped spiking? Are buyers and sellers going to meet in the middle, and we're going to have more of a stabilized market? Can the market handle 7,000 listings? Where do you think, after doing this for 20 years and living through several boom bust cycles, where do you think it goes from here?
I think we're in a good place right now. I think we've stabilized, and with the amount of equity that people still have, we're never going to see the foreclosures. Like it's almost like buyers are sitting on the wayside thinking that this big foreclosure boom is coming, and it's not. There's no chance, zero chance of that happening.
Right.
You may see some foreclosures,
right?
But that's normal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's supposed to happen.
Exactly.
The banks bake in like 1 or 2% foreclosures in their model.
But you're never going to see the way it was in 2008, 9, 10, or 11. Right? So as far as stabilization, over the last 2 years, considering what we've seen the last 6 months, I think we're in a very good place. The only thing I would like to see is interest rates come down maybe another point and a half. Yeah. Because realistically speaking, it's not a stable market if we're at 2%. Yeah. You can't sustain it that.
What do you mean, 2% what?
Interest rates or 2 to 3%.
Oh, okay,
right?
got it. Yeah,
because I know guys that have gotten 2%.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But 2 to 3%, you couldn't sustain that for long, because it's almost like free money.
Right.
And although it's not 100% financing, that's not a sustainable model.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But now that we've readjusted, interest rates went up, and now our inventory has gotten plentiful, but now the greed factor has gone away because people have sat on the market for so long. Yeah. I think we're in a good spot to where we're going to have a successful and profitable 2023.
Yeah, where do you think an average, like a normalized market is? Is it around that 5,000 to 7,000 listings with, you know, influx of people and people moving up?
I would say that's
down?
a stable market in between 6,500 to 8,500, anywhere in between there.
Yeah,
right? Depending on the month. Like this month, the reason why we saw such a depletion or decrease in the listing is because at the first of the year, everything either, or not everything, but a lot of houses either go withdrawn or expired. And then people take a month off and then relist it at either a different price or with a different agent or whatever it may be. Right. So I think we're in good shape for a good 2023.
Yeah. Do you think there's a value proposition for agents to be calling on expireds in Vegas? Just meaning, like, you know, agent A just says yes to whatever the seller wants to try to sell the place at 800,000. They were never going to get 800,000. They expire. Does agent B, who comes in after they expired, do they have a better chance of talking the person into being like, hey man, let's really go on at 700. That's where you were supposed to be. Is that a model that's still profitable?
1,000%. And you can ask Michael. I'd rather be in that scenario. I'd rather be your second agent.
Yeah.
Right. If you go in with an unrealistic tone, I'd rather pass on your listing. And I've said it time and time again. I'm not the guy that's going to waste my marketing dollars, my time, my effort, my energy, and put manpower into this if you're not realistic. Right. I'm not going to just throw it up to be a sign jockey. But what you've just explained is 75% of the agents out there. They'll say yes. They're almost like bobbleheads.
Yeah.
I'll say yes
because they got to get the listing.
Yeah,
it might sell.
Eddie Murphy can Coming to America. Whatever you like. I'll do whatever. Right? Bark like a dog. Whoa. Right?
Totally.
So I mean that's the mentality still of most agents.
Yeah.
But with a guy like me, right, and with you know most people on my team, or if not all people on my team, they have realized that it's not worth saying yes to just overexpose yourself, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not only going to be out money, effort, energy, and time, right?
Yeah.
But most of all, money. But it's never going to sell.
Right.
And it hurts you for the other neighbors. They
not only hurt you for the other neighbors.
Oh.
And
because the neighbors see like,
he
fucking
couldn't do it.
Michael's not a closer,
He
man.
couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So-
Because Michael, how much does it cost to bring a property like to market? Like if you're paying for photography, I mean, obviously there's a huge time component that you're taking out of your time to help them stage and prep and whatnot.
First off, our photographer's got to be the highest paid photographer in the world. This guy, holy cow. If I ever come back as a new life, I'm just going to be real estate photographer for luxury listings.
Perfect.
But you know, for some of our luxury listings with videos, daytime shoots, nighttime shoots, they're doing drones. They're wearing vests that show that they're certified through the FAA.
Yeah.
Some homes take $2,000 just to put a for sale sign out front.
Yeah.
You know? So
on the low scale, right? And
yeah,
it really just depends on the house, right?
Right.
You know, the higher price home, you want to get the marketing that corresponds with a house of that nature, right? So a typical house that comes to market in between, you know, I'm going to say 350 to 800,000. You're easily spending about $2,000 to get it to market.
And then to actually get it sold and hopefully bring the buyer yourself and everything, you could spend $5,000, $6,000, $7,000.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
After everything's said and done. Obviously it pans out and hopefully you get more listings from it, but it's it takes money.
I remember asking one of the best agents I've ever worked with, Tracy and her daughter Keely, down in LA. I was like, hey man, could I host like a little seminar or something that you do, and I'll pay for everything and stuff, because everybody just really looks up to you all, and we'll do like a little seminar. I'll invite a bunch of agents on how to get listings. She's like, well, it's gonna be a real short seminar. And I'm like, well, like, what's the secret of getting listings? She's like, oh, it's really easy. You have listings. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah. When you have listings and the neighbors see that you have listings and then that listing sells, the neighbors work with you. So yeah, you invite whoever you want, pay for wine and cheese or whatever. We'll get up on stage and they'll be like, so what's the secret to getting listings? And she'll say, you have listings. Yep. And I'm like, well, how'd you get the first listing? She's like, I don't know. I've been doing this shit for so long. I don't remember my first listing. So it was just funny how it's like, you know, you build that momentum of being the neighborhood expert.
Well, make no mistake about it. You have to list to last. In real estate, you have to.
Write that down,
If
Chris.
you're just working with buyers, good luck.
Yeah.
Because that well is going to dry up.
Yeah.
Right?
But there's that tension, right? Because I've seen agents go the other way where it's like they'll take anybody, right? They get every buyer into a home.
Yep.
5 or 10 years later, they list, and then all of a sudden they get cocky and they're like, buyers are liars. I'm only working with listings. Well, once all those people either move out of state or buy their forever home,
right,
Well, you weren't hustling to bring in buyers down the backside, and now your career goes to shit.
Well, when you have listings, the buyers come from that too.
That's true.
Right? So the best way to cultivate buyers is have listings.
Right. List to last.
It's a never-ending cycle.
But then you got to work your own listings,
You gotta
right?
work your own listings,
oh, man.
dude.
So
and if
basically,
you don't show your own homes, especially the higher-end ones, and if you're falling victim to just allowing other people to do all your work, you're not going to be very successful. And if you are, well, God bless you, but that doesn't fit my model.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so parting thoughts. We're going into 2023. We're actually ahead of schedule on our podcast recording, so I'm pretty excited. This will probably drop in February of 2023. Going into the year, what are you most looking forward to?
Well, there's a lot of things that I'm looking forward to, but I've made some great relationships over the last several months of people just looking for guidance and looking for people that are telling the truth, because a lot of people are out there just spewing nonsense. Right? Yeah. They're hearing the propaganda. They're telling everybody what they hear in their morning pep talk meeting, right? Whether it be at Keller Williams or one of the other ones. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm excited for the relationships that I have, and I know they're going to cultivate into something much larger that I'm used to.
Nice.
Right? So I'm really excited about the things that are happening.
Michael, best part and worst part about working with your dad?
Oh, the best part, man, probably the rap music that we blast in the music and everybody gets hella pissed.
Okay, perfect.
There's no worst part. There's growing pains, but that's about it. I'd call them growing pains.
Cool.
Yeah.
What are you most looking forward to going into 2023?
I'm excited for the buyers to get off the sideline. The rates getting better. I think the doom and gloom narrative, we're over it.
Yeah, this is the new normal.
That's it. It's the new normal. We talked about it before. The people either front-loaded their interest or they're going to pay a little bit higher interest the first 2, 3, 4 years and wait for the rate to get better then. But people need to get off the sidelines, and I think it's going to happen.
Love it. Last question. Favorite movie and why?
Oh, favorite movie, Blow. Self-explanatory.
Such a good movie. Oh, man. Somebody else mentioned
Senor George.
Somebody else mentioned Blow as their favorite movie for a reason that will blow your mind. No pun intended, or pun intended. The closing scene where he's writing the letter to his dad. One of our guests just recently was like, man, that scene just really hit me so hard on how impactful it is to be a good father. Because he closes down the movie with his apology to his dad in that letter. And I'm like, I didn't even remember that was a scene in the movie because it's, everything's so bombastic and crazy. And that scene where they're living in Venice and there's just stacks of money everywhere. I was like, Dad, where were you in 84 when you could have just robbed that house and we would have been set for life? I also love that movie. And what's her name? Ain't half bad looking in that film. Penelope Cruz.
Yeah.
That was maybe her hottest.
Yeah.
Same question for you.
Probably Catch Me If You Can. Leo. Young Leo.
Oh, such a good movie.
Young Leo. Great movie.
Why? Why is it your favorite movie?
I don't know. I like that he's always on his toes.
Yeah.
It's kind of salesy, a little bit diabolical.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like in that movie that he's he's clearly the bad guy, right? He's defrauding the banks and he's doing a lot of scandalous stuff. But you also get the feeling in the movie this guy kind of has a good heart. Yeah. He's kind of like a good guy. Yeah. He's just doing some bad things.
And it's young Leo. How can you be mad at young Leo?
Yeah, I feel like both him and Brad Pitt don't get enough chops for how good of actors there are because they're good looking. But they're phenomenal actors.
The best.
Cool, man.
You're also, not to digress, huge Entourage fans.
Oh, that makes sense.
Tremendous.
You look like the guy who's the business manager in Entourage.
Come on.
Yeah.
Who?
E?
Yeah, E.
That's one of my least
You're
favorite characters.
You're like a skinny E.
All right.
Yeah. So, all right, cool, man. Well, I appreciate you guys coming in. I want to have you back towards the end of the year so we can kind of talk about how the market was. Hopefully by then we will have bought a couple investment properties or maybe the forever house. I don't know. I got to get a place with a pool, man. I can't do another summer here without a pool. Or I got to get a membership to Lifetime Fitness or something, or go back to LA for 3 months because there's something weird. I cannot really tell the difference between 70 and 82 degrees, but the difference between 100 and 112, it's exponentially worse. Something changes where it's 12 degrees. I lived in Kansas in the Army, -10 versus -22, 30 to 42, 50 to 62. You can't even feel that shit. 100 to 112, it's all right, I can walk to the gym and be sweaty to like, oh, this is the surface of the fucking sun.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is, but we gotta find a pool. I gotta sign up for Lifetime Fitness, or I gotta go back to LA for 4 months during
Well, you can
summer.
always come by Club Ultra. We just redid the backyard. So
What's Club Ultra? Is that your house?
my house.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, all right. We're gonna make you look really good on the podcast now, so I can get a lifetime membership to Club
It's
Ultra.
all good. You're always welcome.
All right. Thanks for being on, guys.
Cool.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
man.